Hariom Shiv Shankar ji, Hariom Deepti ji, Hariom, Hariom Arvind ji. We'll just wait for a few more minutes and then we can begin. Hariom ji, Hariom. If any queries are there, any question is there, we can look at it, or we can just wait for the participants to join. Hariom Rajshri ji, Hariom Pushpa ji, Hariom, Hariom ji, Hariom. Namaste ji, Hariom. We just wait for a few more minutes and then we can begin. We stopped at shloka number 26 of the 5th adhyay. We will be continuing from the 27th shloka. Hari Om Vidya ji, Namaste. Hari Om. We'll wait for another couple of minutes and then we can begin this session. Anybody has any queries, something you wish to look at, we can look at it or we can just wait. Hari Om Savitri ji, Hari Om Vasudevan ji, Hari Om. Hari Om ji, Hari Om. Hari Om ji, Hari Om. Hari Om Dr. Atul ji, Namaste. Hari Om ji, Hari Om. Hari Om. One more minute and we'll begin. Anybody wishes to look at any particular shloka, anything you want to relook at, we can look at that, or we'll just directly begin with the next verse. Hari Om Bhavishya ji, Hari Om. Alright, I think we can begin. I request all participants, those who can, please do turn on your video feeds. It is much easier to interact that way. Let us begin with the invocation. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धे भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्. Hari Om. Hari Om. So, Namaste. So we are now beginning our, continuing our 5th adhyay. Can anybody recollect something that we saw last? Yes, please.
Namaste.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om. Hari Om Srinivas ji. Yes, something that we saw last. A small link to what we last covered. Anybody?
Looking at various sort of yajnas.
Okay, Ji. So different types of yajnas. So different seekers as per their we can say swabhava prefer different types of yajnas. There are austerities of food, austerities of thought, austerities of intellectual prowess. There are austerities of physical strength, austerity of prana. So many different types of yajnas. All these yajnas, though, are reaching one place only. It is to the supreme divine. Even though these are different ways, but they are reaching the same divine. One more interesting aspect, the Adhyay began with Krishna describing a sannyasi is somebody. What is real sannyasi is letting go of desires. So that way, a grihastha can also be a sannyasi at the same time while being grihastha. This is one interesting thing that we saw. So different aspects were told by Krishna, and then he came to something about this Brahma Nirvana, or cultivating a kind of an aura. There's an aura around a person who has raised his consciousness. Can anybody highlight something about that so we can quickly go on to the next point? Because the 26th shloka, Kama Krodha Vayuktanam Yatinam Yada Chetasam Abhito Brahma Nirvanam Vartate Viditatmanam. Meaning that these sages who have got the awakened self, they are liberated, they are free, and there is no mind, there is no desire in their mind, there is no anger that is not conquered, and this person is just all around that person. That person is generating this aura, the nirvana, Brahma Nirvana, it spreads around that person. Means Krishna says in this birth itself you can get that realization. If he's not saying human being without anger, without a human being who is without desire, we are human beings, we will experience anger, we will experience desire, but it comes in a gush. So that moment when it comes, if you are able to control it, whoever is able to control, in the verse 23rd, Krishna says the highest bliss, Sa Sukhi Naraha, is what Krishna says. He was able to control this gush of anger. Many times in our anger, we speak something and we don't know what consequences our words have. Sometimes they have consequences for ourselves. Sometimes these consequences go on to others. Sometimes one person's anger is the cause of another person's sorrow and misery throughout life. Why? Because in that moment, somebody, I don't know why I spoke like this. But then there's no use regretting afterwards because the karma has been done. Some karmas are very difficult to be undone. We go insult somebody also suddenly, and then we cannot pull those words back. Even if we feel it was just a moment of anger or a moment of desire. So this human beings will experience it, but the sage or the Sukhi person, that happy person, is one who has controlled it. And if you can control that moment, because anger takes control, desire takes control. If you are able to control for that moment, they lose their strength and they run away. It is something like that. So Krishna says these awakened ones, they are liberated. There is no chance for anger to be remaining inside of that pavitra atmosphere. Imagine if Krishna is inside of you, will you allow any other wrong thought to come inside? If your mind and conscience is so pure, can you be angry? And just look at that. Krishna's mother, how many times she tried to act and be angry with Krishna? She could not, because that is Krishna's consciousness. It is like that. Only love you can experience. So, something like that. Anger is not there. Desire also inside of a person. No, what is there? What more is required? When the divine, you have full confidence that what is required will come to you. You just have to keep doing your karmas. So this is the way, is what Krishna says. These ones, they generate an aura, and we saw about the aura of Buddha also, and great saints also. Many times, has anybody gone to any ashram and visited a particular? Can anybody share something that you have experienced? This feeling of aura, no, around a person, or any time in life, meeting some elder or somewhere. This person, he comes suddenly. It is like quite tuned. Even the first Adhyaya, Bhishma's aura was described, where heroes started feeling more powerful. Wherever Bhishma was standing around him, even great heroes would feel more energetic looking at his long line mane, his great personality. So, yes, please, anybody has got this experience of what an aura is of somebody, or even in a business meeting or anywhere you can experience that. Has anybody got that, or what is this aura of an individual? Yes, please.
See, personally, I am not experienced anything like that, but I have read. about Dr. Abdul Kalam ji.
Ha ha ha. Ji ji, please
Uh,
tell me.
but once there were in a library, people were there, and as usual there was some murmuring and a little bit
Okay.
sounds. Even though it's a library, some
Okay.
sounds, and people are doing something like that.
Hmm.
Suddenly, all people, without knowing by themselves,
Okay.
uh, uh, they were very quiet and
Okay.
do their work and all the things. After that, only they knew that Abdul Kalam ji entered into the
Yes.
library,
Yes. Yes.
and without knowing themselves, that all people within that library,
Ha ha.
uh, they without knowing their
Okay.
knowledge,
Ji ji.
they did things.
Yes, Pushpaji. Yes, I think yes, this is one which was shared by Arun Tiwari ji also, his experience. He later on
Uh,
became the advisor of Dr. Kalam. He is a very interesting personality, a mechanical engineer entering into the field of medical science, and how what remarkable things that were done. And even now, it is a very inspiring personality. So he was one more incident he had also shared was when Dr. Abdul Kalam had gone with as a president. In that time, when he is in a foreign nation, the people have thronged with so much enthusiasm to see Kalam sir that I think it was in Malaysia. And that time, the president of that country said, "You are more popular than me in my own country." That is how he was watching the people come to meet him. And it is true. And so, like that, there are different people. Some elders. Sometimes you go. Why do people go to ashrams? Sometimes people go to visit some great sages. Why do they go and visit there? One is to actually get the blessings, learn something. All that is apart. A kind of peace. That peace comes in that consciousness, in that presence. It's like how do I maintain it? So that aura is there. Everything, even books have an aura. Bhagavad Gita has its aura. When we study the Gita again, all of us we try to focus on Krishna, and suddenly that helps us generate a different types of consciousness. So something like that. These people who are free. These are the sages Yatinam Yata Chetasam. So their chitta is now awakened and they are free, and that is how they have generated. All of us have an aura around us also, but we are not fully conscious of it. Sometimes we can at least if we draw a circle around us, we will be able to tell exactly in this area. Somebody walks in, even if now class is going on. Somebody is not directly, you're not able to see the person, but the person moves around in your area of consciousness. You're able to quickly see that. You're able to notice that presence because now it has entered into your aura. And then there is a way to cultivate this aura. Yes, please. Shiv Shankar ji wants to share something.
Yeah, I know Abdul Kalam himself had great experience and aura
Hmm.
when he met the Swamiji of Swaminarayan.
Ah, yes, Swami Narayan Sanstha.
He
Yes,
written that book
book
and
Transcendence, his final book, which is so beautiful. Again, yes, yes, his spiritual experiences with Pramukh Swami Maharaj, how it is described. Yes,
I think he had a lot of influence on his own life to
absolutely.
meet this Swamiji.
Yes, yes, he's written that in that book beautifully. Ji, yes, Shiv Shankar ji. So this is the thing, and then now, what if we can also cultivate an aura around us? Wouldn't that be interesting? If we can do that, well, one of the simplest ways of doing that is to first take out karma, take out krodha from ourselves. That itself will make us, people sometimes they like people when they are free of this anger and desire because they don't have anything. Sometimes people's personality unnecessarily imposes on another person, and then simpler. Dialogues also don't take place. Instead, if we can do that, we can become subtle also when required. So that is one thing, and dhyana is the best way. Next shloka, Krishna is going to tell us the way of dhyana, and this is a very simple technique. But Krishna doesn't elaborate too much on dhyana. Probably he does not want Arjuna to open his own meditation center. Right now, Arjuna has to perform his duty. So Krishna is going to just talk about two techniques of dhyana, and it's going to be blink and a miss. Very quickly, he is going to share that. First comes now in the 27th shloka. He's talking about those sages who are having this high state of consciousness. How do they meditate? It is like the experience of the best Krishna is sharing. Let us see. Sparshan krutva bahirbahyans chakshushchaivantare bhruvoho pranapanau samo krutva nasabhyantara charinau. Shunning all external touches. Shunning all external touches, they concentrate. Focusing at the center between eyebrows, they meditate. Controlling the life force entering and leaving the nostril, their inhalation and exhalation, they equalize by their will. So, this is one simple technique. I'll just read out the English part once and then we'll just try. Maybe in a couple of minutes we can also try if it works. Shunning all external touches, they concentrate. So, all bahya sparsha, all other touches from the outside, for that particular period, they are ignoring all those touches. Then focusing where? Focusing at this point, there is something special of this point between the eyebrows. The point between the eyebrows, focusing at that point, they meditate. Now let us see, Krishna has not described meditation, so let us assume. I remember when I first joined my teacher, I was not able to meditate. What should I do? I was trying and I was not able to meditate. So I went and asked him, ध्यान नहीं आ रहा है. He said, कम से कम acting करो. At least do acting, he said. I didn't realize. Then I said, what? Yes, do acting. And he said, all right. And I didn't think slowly afterwards meditation comes. It's not something that needs to be done. It happens naturally when you go into that state. So just focus at this point, what we can see at the point between the eyebrows, forgetting all other touches, because sometimes when you close your eyes you suddenly remember, oh, no, is my head scratching, is somebody calling me, is am I supposed to do this work? So forget for 2 minutes or 5 minutes whenever you're doing that meditation. All external touches have to be of course you can, if you're doing some work, complete that work and then enter into meditation so your mind is free. But do not worry about any other external stimuli. Focus at this point between the eyebrows. Why is it this point? Let's not look at it now. It will become clear in the 8th adhyaya also. Krishna always, he hits two birds with one stone. He doesn't, everything he says has multiple meanings. We realize them much later on afterwards. Controlling the life force entering and leaving the nostril, prana and the apana. We studied prana, and I think what it is something which in English we can call it life force, but it is that pranavayu that's keeping us alive. So why not try to look and focus at our own pranavayu, which is keeping us alive for all these years we have lived. So focus on the prana and the apana, life force that's entering and leaving. The inhalation and exhalation equalize. They equalize by their will. Means the time for inhalation is equated to the time for exhalation. Can we just try this for a couple of minutes right now? Can we try that? Just of course, meditation needs to be done for a good time, but why not just for 2 minutes only in the session? So the one is we can close our eyes, focus at the point between the eyebrows, and inhalation and exhalation. So when we inhale, if we are inhaling for 2 seconds, 2.5, 3 seconds, exhalation should also be the same. Sometimes people couple it with a mantra because thoughts disturb them. Those say so hum, so for inhalation and hum for exhalation. So let us just try. I'll say Hari Om, and for 2 minutes we'll just try meditation. We do not know if it may also give an experience, it may not also, but let us go neutrally. Hari Om. At the point between the eyebrows, just eyes closed, focusing on the inhalation and the exhalation. Equal time. So hum, so hum. Hari Om. Hari Om. Yes, please. So this is something which can be practiced anytime. Krishna has not specified about the muhurta or what time it needs to be done. But we have seen at least three times now Krishna has talked about importance of meditation. And this technique, it is like I know we have to, even if you have to boil water, minimum 2 minutes is required to boil water. Like that, dhyana also needs to be done for a particular time. Time has not been specified, but it needs to be done. Anybody would like to share in this 2 minutes if you had any feeling of what was your feeling at that time while doing it? If you have, some of us may have been meditating regularly, some maybe first time, but anybody, would you like to just share what you felt while doing it for this couple of minutes? Yes, please, anybody. Where their thoughts, if thoughts were there, that is also fine. It is just we don't have any kind of template that this must be the experience or this is the feeling one must have. Yes, please.
Yeah, so I had a little hard time to concentrate in the beginning,
Ji,
but I learned one thing from you as acting. So I put my finger in the middle to kind of train my mind to
ji,
keep my focus there,
ji, ji,
and
ji,
it helped me to
ji, ji, ji,
keep my focus in the right point and trying to train myself.
ji, ji.
I'm
And
meditating
the breathing part, were you able to equate it, Rakesh ji? The inhalation and exhalation. So yes.
but in the middle, I mean, it's my thoughts was kind of going all over the
Okay.
place. So when I put the finger, and then it's kind of
Okay. It is keeping your yes.
training yourself, I guess.
Ji, ji. Yes, yes.
uh,
Ji, ji, ji.
times, right? And then it kind of
Ji, ji.
get
Yes.
into that thought process.
Ji, 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 Rakesh ji. And this is one technique which is very easy to practice. Krishna has not talked about, the what kind of changes happen behind it or what is the reason and all those things. He's just told this is a simple technique which the yogis would use. And probably if we are having a kind of anxious situation, imagine if we are able to equate our own inhalation and exhalation and control ourselves. Because first thing this does is, first is our body consciousness. You become conscious of your heartbeat also, your inhalation and your exhalation when you try to equate it, and you become quiet. And then after that, what other experiences are there that are waiting to be had? But anybody else would like to add what you felt, so we will then move on after that. Yes, please.
Normally we have this Om.
Okay.
It has A, U.
Uma. Okay.
So first we start with A
Hmm.
to focus on the umbilicus.
Okay.
And then we start with three times we do.
Acha.
So
Okay.
we focus on the chest, and when you go to Ma or
Okay.
then we go to the Agna Chakra.
Okay.
Then we start
Ji.
focusing on that.
Okay.
So we are internalizing it. So our drishti is internal then.
Okay.
Our drishti is not external. So we
Okay.
are completely forgetting what is outside world.
Okay, Ji.
We see Bhagavan inside us.
But yes, Ji. But here, if you see, Krishna did not speak about chakra. He did not speak about Kundalini. He just said inhalation, exhale.
Agna Chakra is what it is between the eyebrows.
No, no, that I'm aware, Ji. But what I'm saying is, sometimes now, if you see, some people's awakening is already there. They can experience, they can see colors, they can experience heat in different areas. That's all different. What I'm saying is, Krishna in his talking is just talked about equation of inhalation and exhalation. So that alone, if we just focus on that, uh, what was in this 2 minutes? Because I think you have must have meditated many times. What did you experience in this 2 minutes only, which we tried just now? Anything, what was that experience, physical or what we can perceive, Shiv Shankar ji?
No, since as you rightly said, I have been practicing meditation. Immediately I go on.
Okay, you directly go into the acha ji. Okay, so that is the thing, it is the link is immediately established. All right, Shiv Shankar ji. Yes, anybody would like to? Yes, Savitri ji. Yes, please.
It keeps our mind very peaceful, and after that we can take a very good decision, a wise
Okay,
decision.
that is a nice thing. Vivek Buddhi is awakened when we have to take an important decision. I remember I was very sad and my emotions were not in my control and I did not know some very unexpected happening happened in life. And that time this was the best technique for me because first thing I remember I sat in front of, there was a photo of Mother Sherwindo. I just sat in front of that and slowly it was took time for me to come to terms with it. But first when my heartbeats where I was able to, first whatever palpitation was there inside, that settled, then my breathing quietude, and then a nice shanti also, and then the decision also could be taken. Why they say this portion is one more, this is the seat of our Vivek Buddhi, the Sushumna is here only. Sat Asat Vivek Buddhi, ability to discriminate what is right and wrong in pressure situations also. So that could be one more reason why Krishna has told to focus at this point. But we'll see, we'll probably not run out of reasons why Krishna has pointed that area. But yes, Milanji wants to share something. All right. Then we'll,
Yeah,
yeah, please. Yes, please.
the pineal gland is just behind that, so that gets activated.
Okay, but what we want to do, Noji, Milanji, is purposely we are not looking at this aspect behind it, because let what experience has to come to all of us. Many times auto suggestions happen. One person I know was talking about an awakened Kundalini. Actually, that person had got hypoglycemia. He did not realize that. He was assuming he is having that awakening. Then it led to a problem to that person also. Instead, why not let the experience come to us? Our aim is not to get an experience. It will come to us, but the technique, it is like you boil water for 2 minutes. You boil properly, water will start. If you heat it for 2 minutes, it will boil. It is a kriya which will result in the action consequence. If you keep boiling and then turning it off, no matter even do 15 minutes, but you're not constantly doing it for that time, it will not have its effect. So maybe all of us, each of us are unique. We may have different experiences as well. But one thing is, one person has talked about after he came across this technique, that person started increasing the time. One person felt 2 minutes is sufficient. Another felt no, 2 minutes is not sufficient. Let us take it, and that person has been doing now for 1 year, almost 25 minutes. The same technique he is able to follow. And what is there? That experience only ya pashyati sa pashyati. That person who experiences will only know. Let us not draw a template, because some of us may have got experiences, some of us may not have the habit of meditating. But to all of us, Krishna has suddenly introduced in the middle of battlefield one technique of dhyana. Why, what, we don't know how Arjuna is going to deal with it. But this is the technique, and this is one of the two. Krishna will not talk about it again or even imply about it in the entire Gita. So just once more, I'll just repeat what it is, and then we'll quickly move on to the next verses. So all external touches have to be forgotten. It's like if you are doing some work, let's finish the work, take your phone, keep it in airplane mode, or tell all your friends you're not available for the next, say, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a small time at least. It is a quality time we need to spend with ourselves. So for that, dhyana, practice it. Inhalation and exhalation equalize. You have to focus at this point between the eyebrows. Also, while focusing, one need not strain. Thoughts come and go, let them come and let them go. It will, after a while, they will stop on their own. But your inhalation and exhalation, focus on that. Let that be equal. And if you want to add a mantra to it, you can always add a mantra. That way, you can tame your thoughts. Different people have different way of thinking. Some may not have thoughts, some may have thoughts. So that also, we can couple it with a mantra. Damleji always used to say, so hum. So and hum, couple that. It is like Tattvamasi. It is another, we are trying to equate ourselves with that divine consciousness. So that whatever way which we feel. But breathing should be of equal time. And that is itself sufficient, is what Krishna is saying. Maybe we can probably after the session, because we have limitation of time, maybe we can just try for another say 5 to 10 minutes, and then you can, if you wish to, you can share your experience for other participants also. It's a very simple technique. Krishna has not given much of the fuss also on how, what needs to be done, where, what is to be there before, after. He's just talked about this now. Let us go on. यतेन्द्रिय मनोबुद्धिर मुनिर्मोक्ष मोक्षपरायणः विगतेच्छा भयक्रोधो यः सदा मुक्त एव सः. The sages, who are the seekers of liberation, assert a control over their mind and intellect. All senses, anger or wrath, can cause them no interruption, for they have attained complete freedom in every respect. So Krishna says these sages have actually got complete freedom. Anger, there's no anger inside of them. Indriyas are not going to disturb that person. That person has got full control over the mana and the buddhi, and is ready to move to that next state of consciousness. These are the highest one. And then we learnt about different types of sacrifices. The next sloka, Krishna says, when you recognize that where this sacrifices are leading to, all our sacrifices are leading to one place, and when that realization comes, when it dawns to a person, what happens? Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhrudam sarvabhutanam gnatva mam shantam ruchhati. When to man this singular truth is known, that all sacrifices I receive with joy, for they are my own. And he shall perceive me as his dearest loving friend. He shall then experience my perfect peace that has no end. So when the person realizes this truth, that all these sacrifices, they are going to that Supreme One, Sarva Loka Maheshwara. I am the Bhokta of all these yajnas, Krishna is saying. And you recognize that all of this goes to that one destination, that person loses all kinds of fear. He has this feeling of Maitri. Bhagwan Hamara Mitra. God is our friend. Why do we need to be afraid of? That feeling of friendship, Maitri Bhava, and that also works. Maitri Bhava, people have experienced what it has done in so many people. And I think we have in our group also. Rajshri ji had shared her experience when suddenly now Krishna's presence wiped away all the fear in a difficult life situation. So this aspect you will experience, Krishna says, the perfect peace that has no end, the highest Shanti. That is again an experience that needs to be had, but it comes with this realization that God is our friend. So if we are fearing God, let us not fear God, for we are not sinners. Whatever ignorance is there, may that ignorance disappear. We can pray to the divine, but we do not have fear for the divine, is one thing we can see. And this realization comes to that realized seeker, is what Krishna says. He goes on. Sixth Adhyay, let us begin. Before we begin, I'll just share one illustration. We will have one more meditation technique described, plus the importance of meditation in this Adhyay. Yes, please. Can someone describe this illustration? What do you see here? What do you see in the illustration?
Um, it looks like all the kids are there together,
Okay.
holding hands,
Yeah.
which means that we are all equal. So we have to like go together. Like we have to follow the same path.
We have to follow the same path.
There is no difference. Like how kids play together, right? Don't describe. Okay, you come from this place, or I am from
Yeah,
this
your
place.
family is like this, or you are belonging to this kind of. Children are having no they have that natural tendency to not discriminate. Most of the times, it is the adults who have created that division. Yes, please. Vidyaji wants to add something.
Yes, it is Vasudeva Kutumbakam.
Yes, yes. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. That's a great. That's a Sanatan Dharma's principle. It is a Sanatan principle. Our world is one family. So can we say, Vidyaji, then if there is somebody who is from a higher family or lower family, or is there?
No,
We
all are
cannot.
at equal.
Ji, ji. All are equal. Is it not?
just to give an example,
Ha ha.
during Sankranti we make different molds out of sugar,
Ha.
different shapes, but behind them all is the sugar.
Yes, all are sweet, is it not? A wonderful example Shiv Shankarji has given. Yes, so all these people may appear different and everything on the outside, but on the inside, the mold is the same. Everyone has the same Atman inside, so we're all one. This aspect is, I think that actually would have allowed the Mahabharata to be avoided if Dhritarashtra could see that yes, if we could see that the children are also my own children, Pandavas are also my own. What is there? That child is young. He is this Arjuna is also. I can adore Arjuna also as much as I adore Duryodhana. Why should I allow that? I am Nijaha Paro Veti. That is this person is not from my status. This person is this small. That's a what we can say narrow-minded perspective. But Udara Charita Nastu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Many issues in life also can be avoided. Many unnecessary conflicts can be eliminated if we can recognize this principle. Just I will read out the tagline below it. It is about a person who is seeking, a student also. He does not discriminate on the basis of religion, stature, caste, society, or even nation. He knows that all are just the same from the inside. This oneness, how is it connected with this adhyay? We will see that what is this samata bhava, what is its use in sadhana, all of that will be visible. Yes, Vasudevanji wants to share something.
One doubt. Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, is it only for people or all for all living beings?
All living beings we can. Vasudevam Sarvamiti, you can see Sri Aurobindo got it even in the, he could see Vasudeva where in the, he saw Vasudeva in the bars, he saw Vasudeva in the blanket that was given to him, he saw Vasudeva everywhere. So this experience is there, it is waiting, we can get it at each. experience from each and every single place. Consciousness in every cell also is possible, is what the mother says. So let us see.
So like you're saying, acting, no meditation.
Ha,
You can also do acting, try to do.
ha,
Yeah,
ha. Yes, that is so nice. That is so nice because
say something we don't like, that's it.
yeah, we will see that. Yes, yes, Vasudevanji. It is sometimes practically it is
Acting, you cannot act very long.
too long. Yeah, yeah, it is what. Yes, yes, yes. Slowly, but what happens is there was one thief who was running away from, the king's men. There's a story of in I think in Panchatantra, the king's men run after a thief, and this thief has no way to run away. So what he does is then he acts, dresses, put on the vesha of a sadhu, and immediately sits and pretends he is a sadhu. Now, during that time, the guard only comes and asks him, "Have you seen a thief running?" He says, "No, I have not seen." Then, just that time, some passerby sees, "Oh, Sadhu is here, let me get his blessing." So he comes to take his blessings, and then he's like, "Tathastu Putra," and he goes on acting like he's a Sadhu. Slowly, that acting, what happens, enters into a personality, and he becomes a Sadhu only. His thieving is already forgotten completely. That person is forgotten, he is like that, because now that consciousness, by what we can say, a kind of discipline, he has enforced into him, and now it has entered from the outside inwards. Some people it enters from inside outside. Realizations are like that, different directions. But it's like, why we want good habits? We want good habits so that they become a part of a personality, a trait, something like that. Ji.
Real life, even you put somebody in a prison,
Hmm.
actually prison makes them even worse.
No, not always, Vasudevanji. Not always. Not always. We will look at, but the practical aspects will come to us in 13th Adhyay. Plus, after that, Krishna is not going to leave us with only high thoughts which are not practicable. He is now, first, right now, is focusing on Dhyana. Maybe that Samata Bhava is going to be touched. Let us see, let us begin the 6th Adhyay now. We'll continue. Again, we do not know if Arjuna is buying everything and Krishna says. So far, Krishna, whatever Krishna has said, Arjuna has just said no. You are confusing. You are telling opposite things. You either be practical or you be ideal. You can't talk about practical and ideal at the same time. But Krishna is somehow continuing the same thing. Maybe what is ideal is can also be practical. We do not know. Let us see what Krishna has in store for us. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha अनाश्रितः कर्मफलं कार्यं कर्म करोति यः स सन्यासी च योगी च न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः. Shri Krishna said, "He who dutifully works without desire, him the expectations of fruits cannot cage. And he is said to be the sannyasi, the yogi, the real sage, not he who renounces actions and kindles not the sacrificial fire." So, who is this yogi? Who is that true sannyasi? Krishna is saying that person who is working dutifully without desire, who is entering into the field of karma, not wanting anything in return. That person is the person who cannot be trapped. He is a real sannyasi. It is said, Ramta Jogi Behta Pani, both cannot be stopped. It is like that. This sannyasi is that way. He is not somebody who has never lit that fire, who has never done the karma. Not that person. The yogi is the one who is engaging in activities and yet detached. He goes on further. Yam sanyasamiti prahur yogam tam vidhi pandava. Nahi asanyasta sankalpo yogi bhavati kashchana. This, oh Arjuna, is what they call renunciation. The true state of yoga, the integral union. This is the real renunciation. This is the union with the divine. He is not a yogi who has renounced not desire, not the one whose mind yearns for objects to acquire. Who is that yogi? He is the one who is now renounced everything. He is doing his works, yet he is not driven by desire. It's so difficult, is it not? Not to be motivated only by the outcome of the action. Many times I do this, I talk like this, so somebody thinks about me in a positive way, or I talk in a particular way, so I get some work done. That is the only dialogue which takes place. Nobody has dialogues just like that most of the time. But no, Krishna is saying not having expectation while doing your duty, whatever duty it may be. That is the real way, is what Krishna is saying. Not for somebody who is still having desires, who is full of desires. Even sadhana is done with desire. I want to raise myself from this consciousness to that consciousness. That time, sometimes if Krishna wants you to rise in a particular way, this yogi will say, "No, I don't want to rise this way. According to my logic, I have to go this way only." this desire for movement also in a particular direction in spiritual practice, or desire in any other way. Imagine meditating and still I want to get promotion, so I will invoke this particular Shakti to make my boss under my control. There are a lot of people doing different practices. So that is not the real sannyas, because you are now trapped with a desire. You do not know what forces you are playing with without yourself knowing the consequences of them. Krishna goes on, the third sloka. Arurukshor munir yogam karma karanamuchyate yoga rudhasya tasyaiva shamah karanamuchyate. So karma, everywhere we see karma. Even now dhyana is being introduced. There also Krishna talks about the importance of karma. He says, for an ascending yogi, it is affirmed that action causes his ascent to be confirmed. For a yogi who is rising, for a yogi who is rising on the yoga marga, who is rising, it is the karmas that are going to take that person ahead. For somebody who is ascending, and for he who has already ascended, self mastery is the cause by which he has transcended. So, for somebody whose transcendence has already taken place, who's already reached that highest state, how has he got it? Well, again by karma and full self control and self mastery. It is again by these actions, liberated actions with full self control, that a person has reached. So, again on the path of yoga as well, it is action. Action is what our main movement for ascendance, or for the person who has already ascended, that is a stamp. How he went to that place, how did a person reach to that state, we wonder sometimes. Just look at the actions of that person, they will speak the entire story, what that person has done. Krishna goes on, यदा हि नेन्द्रियार्थेषु न कर्म स्वनुषज्जते सर्वसंकल्प संन्यासी योगारूढ़स्तदोच्यते. In his mind too all attachments he has denounced. When all the wills within are renounced, if he is bereft of desires towards all objects of sense, the zenith of yoga, he has reached thence. So Krishna is saying, this mind which has overcome all attachments, denounced everything, all these attachments are no more touching that person. Even sankalpa, sometimes we start something with a good initiative, with a good sankalpa. I will do this completely. Of course, that is not Krishna is saying don't have sankalpa, he is not saying that. But he is talking about that yogi who has reached that high state where now sankalpa is taken by the divine. The individual sankalpa is also not required now. The person has reached that consciousness. He does not have any individual sankalpa also. Everything the divine is functioning. He has risen out of all of his preferences, all of his attachments, all of his desires, and is functioning as an instrument of the divine. This person has reached the height. He has reached the height because all individual wills also have been renounced inside of him. I want this, I don't want anything. Whatever you give, I will accept it with joy. I just will do my duty, whatever I can, whatever is best of me. I did not worry about this project I have to initiate. All projects are initiated by the divine. And there is a joy when when you recognize the divinity that is manifesting, or through a particular mission or through a particular project, when you can recognize that, there is a great joy of participation in the divine works. So this is the yogi, is what Krishna is saying. Then comes the next two shlokas. These are like riddles. I'll read that shloka maybe once or twice. Then, yeah, the next shloka I'll read it twice. If you can perceive the riddle, it would be nice. God knows why Krishna has to give a riddle to an already confused Arjuna. But let us see. उद्धरेदात्मनात्मानं नात्मानं अवसादयेत् आत्मैव ह्यात्मनो बन्धुर आत्मैव रिपुरात्मनः. So again, what is this Atma? Again and again Krishna is using that. Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet atmaiva yatmano bandhur atmaiva ripu atmanah. So Atma is the Bandhu, Atma is the Ripu. What is the meaning of this? Again, let us see. The self alone can set the self free. I'll repeat it twice. After that, if somebody can try to explain this riddle, it would be easy. The self alone can set the self free if you allow it to unsuppressed be. For the self is the self's closest friend, and also the worst nemesis that the self can portend. Once more, the self alone can set the self free if you allow it to unsuppressed be, for the self is the self's closest friend, and also the worst nemesis that the self can portend. I'll just quietly explain it and then you can probably tell me the riddle's meaning. The self can set the self free, is what Krishna is saying, if you allow the self to be unsuppressed. The self is the greatest and closest friend of the self, and the self is the enemy also of the self. What is the meaning? What is Krishna speaking right now? Yes, please.
Here does Atma means, it means Atma or it mean the mind?
Why can you not? Can you explain it, Vasudevanji? Because Atma, Sanskrit word Atma is what is inside, no? That divine.
Sometimes they use it for different things.
Yes, yes. So, what do you think in this context, this riddle? Because
He is talking about mind.
okay, how is it? How is the self the friend? How is the self the enemy?
Control the mind and channel it to the right direction.
But how can the self be free then? Self can set the self free, Vasudevanji.
That's why I'm saying he's talking about self or mind. Mind is your best friend or the best enemy.
Okay, mind is your best friend. But how can mind free you and free you to what then?
Free, I don't mean free, I mean to take you to a better place.
So, mind is probably helping us to reach that better place
Yeah,
also.
if you say, supposing you can use the mind to smoke or not to smoke, or drink or not to drink, something
Okay.
like that.
Okay.
So it all depends on how you control your mind.
Acha. Okay.
Or
So,
you read a good book or a useful book or not a
okay.
book, or see a
Okay.
good
Ji,
movie
ji.
or a bad movie or whatever.
Okay.
That kind of thing I'm talking about.
Okay, so yes,
Not God.
Vasudevanji is saying yes. Ji, so this could be mind, is what Vasudevanji is saying, that mind can be trained. Many yogis in Maharashtra, there's one yogi who would always begin Mana Karare Prasanna, meaning make your mind happy. Because first thing, ultimately, why yoga sadhana, everything we do, because we want to reach that blissful state. So why not train your mind to be happy? The Guru of Shivaji Maharaj also had beautiful Manache Shlok, shlokas for the mind to make the mind strong. So, is this anybody would like to add to what Vasudevanji shared? Something more?
I think the answer lies in the next shloka.
Yes, yes,
It's
Atulji.
finished.
Yes, it is there in the next shloka. That's why I stopped one shloka before only. Yes, Ji.
I think see, we have our mind. We can control things through our mind, of course. That if I want to, like as Vasudevanji said, whether I choose to read a good book or not
Hmm.
to read, like taking a mindful choice.
Okay.
And our mind can be our enemy also. Like suppose
Hmm.
uh, I think that okay, I can do this. I have control over it. I can do this. So that that
Ahankar. Ego comes because of mind
ego
also.
comes. Even if I'm thinking I'm on the spiritual path and I'm trying to do this, but when I'm reiterating in my head,
Hmm.
that pride, that
Okay.
ahankar is getting inside it
Okay.
without me even realizing it.
Ji, ji. Yes, Deepti ji. That's one more dimension added to what Vasudevanji said. Yes, mind. And then one more thing, in the kingdom of Brahma Vidya, mind is a vestigial entity. Mind is like a springboard. Use it to jump into the kingdom of Brahma Vidya. After that, their mind also is behind. They reach to the higher states of consciousness. But again, to go to that higher state of consciousness, we cannot say we don't need the mind. Mind is required. Mind's limits have to be transcended through the mind only. So this is interesting. And yes, Krishna does not, we don't have to say poor Arjuna, because immediately Krishna immediately answers the riddle in the very next verse, the very next shloka. So one thing is clear, there is the enemy inside, there is the friend also inside. When is it the friend, when is it the enemy? Let us see what Krishna says. बंधुरात् बंधुरात्मनमस्तस्य येनात्मैवात्मना जितः अनात्मनस्तु शत्रुत्वे वर्तेतात्मैव शत्रुवत्. The self, as the self's friend, can be thus considered when the lower self's pull has been conquered. But when the higher self one does not know, then the self is the self's greatest foe. So when is this self the friend? Krishna says this is the friend when the self is able to tell you, like Vasudevanji said, don't smoke, don't go into this direction, don't do wrong things. That time you have a friend sitting inside who is able to tell you and take you away from this pull of lower nature. Sometimes these desires pull our consciousness. Many times we get into a good state, something happens and we pull our state, lower state we enter into, because there is this nature tendency is there in Prakriti to pull ourselves to lower our consciousness. So when you are able to arrest that, when you are able to control that pull which is reducing or lowering your consciousness, that time you can say you have a great friend inside of you. This is your friend that is working. But but when the higher self one does not know, then the self is the self's greatest foe. When a person feels that there is no higher self inside of me, there is no higher consciousness, there is nothing inside, when a person begins to doubt completely, we have seen earlier also how doubts destroy a person from within, and that is the time when you are having the greatest enemy inside. So what do we do when the enemy is with us inside? We need to just throw that enemy out. We don't need to give importance. Many times when meditating, people get bad thoughts also, and then they feel guilty about how did I think like this, or I am such a person. All these times you can say you are not that person. This is an enemy is sending some thoughts inside. Throw them away. Don't give importance. You are not your thoughts. Thoughts are also, your mind is like a transmitter and a receiver. It is just receiving from different places. With dhyana, you will learn to tune into the right channel and receive right, greater reception, greater action is possible with that. So all those times when you are doubting yourself, when these negative forces come into you or wrong thoughts are coming inside, you need not recognize, align yourself with the higher self inside of you. Don't associate yourself with the lower self. Many times people have this trouble with their own minds, and it is a difficult war they have to face. Every time doubts, any action that is, any career is beginning, doubt comes and attacks that person. Will I do wrong? Will I spoil everything? Am I going to do, only bad is going to happen? These affect a person so much. So that time this person must understand, no, there is a higher self inside of me that will ensure, let me focus on that. And people have been able to face these difficulties as well. Krishna goes on, 7th shloka, jitatmanah prashantasya paramatma samahitaha shitoshna sukha dukkheshu tatha manapamanayoho. The victor of the self experiences the perfect peace. That person is the Jitendra who is already understood. Yes, inside of me, the divine consciousness is there. That one. Uh, my volume is not clear, is it? Anybody is having that trouble?
No, it's okay.
It's okay. All right. I think Gayatri ji, maybe there is some. I think you can just try. I will try to increase the volume from my end as well. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Hari Om. So Jitatmanah Prashantasya Paramatma Samahitah. This Jitatman, this is what we saw earlier. Jitendra, the one who has conquered himself. He has understood his own. Everybody is having their own flaws. If you are able to win over those flaws, you are the real Jitendra. You are the one who has won a victory. The greatest victory, if you can win, is not over some enemy on the outside. It is over yourself. This person, he experiences the perfect peace. The victor of the self experiences the perfect peace. And in this greatest oneness, all fluctuations cease. All the fluctuations that come from disturbances from outside, all these fluctuations. Sometimes people get into, see so many bad things are happening, people are talking like this, or what's going to happen to me, what's going to happen, what name is going to come in the society about me, my action, my family. All these questions come into a person's head. These are all fluctuations because of insecurities which are unnecessary. That person who has understood his own self-worth is much higher than anything else. That person is not going to be afraid of that. And in this great oneness, all the fluctuations inside will disappear. Because these fluctuations ultimately trouble us only, and that is why we don't want them. We try different ways to run away. We don't have to run away if we realize we are something different and align with that consciousness. This Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. Shivoham is not some word which is just for lip service. It is a sadhana, it is an experience of sadhana of so many people. Yes, inside of me it is there, that consciousness. Neither in heat or cold, nor in loss or gain, and in honor or dishonor finds not he glory or pain. So whether it is hot or whether it is cold, whether the person is having profit or there is loss. Many times great yogis also, because of financial loss, they become, their yoga sadhana becomes zero immediately, because no, I lost money, this is not right. What has happened? Because now they are not yogis, they are driven by their desires. Yogi has risen above all of these dvandva, whether it is heat or whether it is cold, whether it is success or whether it is failure, loss or profit, that is not making a difference. Because in honor or dishonor, he is not finding glory in being honored. See, so many people are praising me, so the person feels extra excited. No. If people are insulting also, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to the yogi. He does what is required for the divine, And he is of the divine, by the divine, and for the divine only. Nothing else on the outside can make a difference for such a person. Krishna goes on, Jnana Vijnana Truptatma Kutastho Vijitendriyaha Yukta Ityuchate Yogi Samaloshtasma Kanchanaha. Now, this is a very interesting and difficult thing. What Krishna is saying, Samaloshtasma Kanchanaha. He says, with this self gnosis, poised he remains, unaffected by senses and tranquil in all planes. So he says, this person, he gets that knowledge, this sakshatkar comes, this truptatma, he's got that jnana, he's got the vijnana also, the science behind the science also he has understood. And with that sakshatkar, he's got that poise, that balance, because of which his senses are no more going to be disturbed. And he's going to remain tranquil at all times. He regards clay, gold, or stone, and regards alike clay, gold, or stone towards all objects, and equanimity is shown. So it's saying that person is going to treat all these three as one, clay, gold, and stone. Now, is it possible treating clay, gold, and stone as one? Yes, you can all give me all the gold you have, I'll replace it with stone. You should not have a problem. Is it what Krishna is asking right now? Treating them as one. What is this meaning in this?
I heard somebody saying that eating the meal means everything has its place.
Okay, everything has its place.
If you want to make a pot, you need a clay.
Yeah,
If you want to make a statue, you need a stone. If
yes,
you want to make a jewel or
absolutely.
item, you need stone.
Yes, it has its place
So,
for its outer value, is it not? Okay, Vasudevanji.
so all the gold in the world cannot quench your thirst or hunger.
Absolutely, absolutely. In a
So
desert, you in a desert, you are
not
thirsty.
every
Absolutely.
that's what somebody explained to me.
Ji, perfectly said. Yes, it has its own place. Krishna is not otherwise what we will see everybody going into their lockers, taking out the gold from there, taking stones from outside, putting it into their lockers. No, that's not what Krishna is saying. But this equanimity, sometimes what happens when you talk about gold in family functions also, the gold is shining is one thing, but then you see somebody's eyes are also shining because of that gold, because that desire starts coming inside of another person. How many battles have been fought over gold? How many so many times what people do, so many things. Same way with where there is clay, like Vasudevanji said, where you have to use clay only. Gold is useless, and stone is too hard. Where you have to use clay, there clay is only required. So this aspect of oneness, but being able to treat with oneness. Tukaram's wife had got from her friend Paris stone, like a philosopher's stone, which can convert any metal to stone, to gold, any metal to gold. And Tukaram was outside; he did not know. And his wife, his friend, the wife's friend's husband was some kind of businessman who had got this secret stone. But now he was going on a pilgrimage, and he was wondering, what do I do with it, because this is such a rare possession. So he felt the best place I can keep this is in Tukaram's place, because for him it is no nothing. He is confident he will not have any desire for it. So he decides to, his wife comes and gives it to Tukaram's wife. And now Tukaram is outside, but she's like, wow, does this really work? So she goes and touches one plate and she sees that, wow, it has turned into gold. So she's just overwhelmed. She's like, wow, I have answered to the problems, everything. So she quickly keeps it safe and she just waits excitedly for Tukaram to come. Now Tukaram comes and then she says, see, I have this I have got for some time. Let us now try take all of it and convert all the metal into stone. Tukaram is shocked. He said, how did you do this? How dare you do this? This was not the right thing to do. She doesn't understand what's happening. She's just perplexed. Why is he angry with me? We have monetary issues. I am just removing them. But then he grabs that stone, he goes straight into the river and hurls that stone as far as he can. And his wife is more shocked. No, this is not my stone. What is he going to do? He said, you don't know what you were going to have brought, what kind of danger. If this remained any longer here, what danger would have come onto our entire village. This had to be thrown away. Now, we are not judging about modern day. Everybody will wonder, what is this? Does he have the propriety to throw somebody else's property? All that aside, look at the aspect. Sometimes this desire for wealth This desire alone makes a person go and do in so many wrong things. The meaning of life is lost. Sometimes wealth is there, but the other aspects of life which are required are missing. What is the use of all of it? Instead, keep its place. Learn to look at it with oneness. Do not let wealth dominate your actions. Many times people are bought because of their desire for wealth. They sell themselves and they do all wrong things. In the end, they cannot even enjoy the joy of holding a clay toy in their hand because they are driven by their desire for gold only. So, something like that, having that oneness, equanimity is something which comes naturally to the yogi. So, equanimity of objects is the first thing that we see Krishna talk about. First realization is yes, I will always be aligned with the truth. Satyameva Jayate. It does not matter. You give me clay, give me gold, give me stone. Nothing will deviate me from my action or my duty. So, this is number one, treating with oneness. Second, because Krishna is not saying, again, if you see, he gave the example of Raja Janaka. He is not saying that gold is a sin or wealth is a sin. But the desire that comes with this is the problem. And that is all, because many times in spirituality, people say stay away from money. Because we are staying away from money, Goddess Lakshmi's force is gone to Asuric hands. Good people must go near money. They must use money for Lokasangra. Do good work for the people. But do not allow your desire to come inside. That is the problem. Let us go to the next one. सुहृन् मित्राय उदासीनम् अध्यस्थ द्वेष्य बन्धुषु साधुष्वपि च पापेषु समबुद्धिर विशिष्यते. So next, from objects, Krishna is moving to persons. Objects, okay, we understood that we can maybe have their values, but here Krishna says the enemies or the friends who are dearest, sowers of discord, or the callous, or the indifferent nearest, the holy saint or the wretched sinner, he who as one perceives is the ultimate progressor. Krishna says whether it is the enemies or it is the friends who are nearest, sowers of discord or the callous or the indifferent nearest. Now, enemies and friends, can you see them as one? How can you see as one? What is Krishna meaning by this? Enemies and friends. Our friends are our friends. Our enemies are absolutely opposite. We do not want. Yes, Melanji.
Seeing divinity, trying to see divinity in all. The presence of God exists in everyone.
Even in enemies, Melanji.
Yes, yes. Realizing that God exists even in him.
Okay. So, but isn't it difficult?
Sorry, what
Isn't
did you
isn't
say?
isn't it difficult, Melanji?
I know it is difficult, but that's the only way to keep yourself in
Okay.
balance.
Okay. So sometimes we have extra partiality towards our friend and extra dvesha for our enemies. That extra is the problem in our partiality towards our friends. We take our friends away from the right path also, and sometimes we can learn some of the best things from our enemies also. Only they will not consciously teach you, but if you are shrewd and you are able to see properly, you can learn also. It is said durjanam prathamam vande sajjanam tadanantaram, meaning sometimes the wrong people will teach you what you don't want to do. Sometimes the enemy is standing in a particular way, you will know which road you don't want to take. You can be thankful and grateful to that enemy also, because this is what my teacher had shared his experience. One side a sadhu's procession was going, another side there were people who were catching, police were catching one criminal and taking that. Then that was a known person. This Ramji said no, the person would rather wanted to his friend, and everybody were turning first to this criminal and doing namaskar to him and not to the sadhu. And so other friend asked, "What nonsense are you doing? Why are you doing namaskar to this this criminal? The sadhu's procession is coming." No, no, sadhu's processions will come. They will keep coming again and again. But this person has taught us now what will happen if we do wrong. We will also be in that place. The police will be dragging us. So this is the great pravachan we have got. Not nothing from this sadhu would have taught me. Sadhu would have told so nice words. Don't do this, don't do that. But this man has shown in his action what's going to happen if I do wrong. So this aspect of being able to, there's a very funny and nice quote actually in Godfather also, where he talks about keeping his friends close, keeping his enemies closer, so that person can observe what is going on. Now, interestingly, our dvesha should not come in for our enemies. Our partiality should not come for our friends. Because of our partiality, again, our biases only spoil our relationships, our biases only spoil our own. If parents have partiality, they will not know when they are creating Duryodhanas. They don't understand that. They will think they are creating Arjunas only, but partiality will create Duryodhana only. Ultimately, all are one on the inside. So, this oneness, equanimity towards our own people, that is important, friends or enemies. Being able to look at them neutrally. As Milanji said, yes, the divine is there in all. Who knows what the divine can teach? The enemy will not want to consciously teach you anything good. But the divine can make the enemy also teach you something what is required, and you can use it to move your journey ahead also in sadhana.
Can I say something?
Yes, Deptiji.
Sorry, my network is very low,
Okay,
so
yes.
that's why video is off. So I can think of like one example here is from the sports perspective.
Okay,
Like when we play in
okay,
a team, also we have some team members with whom we don't agree,
okay.
but we go together because we have to work as a team.
Hmm.
So we learn within the team. Plus, when we are playing with the opponent, so when we lose or when even when we win, we learn something from the opponent. Although they are opponents,
Hmm. Hmm.
so when we see that we are learning also from them, then that time, because if I mean, if you're talking about friend and any perspective, for that moment of that time, the game when the game is on, the opponent becomes our enemy. Like we have to defeat. But then in that process also, if a good sports person would try to learn from that enemy also, and we have
Okay,
always seen that even after the end of the game, the opponents shake hands
okay.
also.
Ji, ji, ji. Yes, Dipti ji. So understanding that maybe the play of the divine is taking place, it's a game that's taking place. Keep your neutral, viewpoint and observe. Yes, that is one thing. Sometimes it's much more easier. This is not, of course, Krishna is not saying go and hug your enemies immediately or show your back to the enemy and come on, stab me. No, this is not what Krishna is saying. But have this oneness. That is one. Then comes sowers of discord. Sowers of discord. There are people who take special pride or special joy in creating a fight between people. But like Shakuni Mamas, we have met so many of them in our life. So whether it is these kind of people or the callous. When callous means you've fallen down and you're hurt, and somebody does not even care about trying to raise a hand to lift you up, or instead is actually smiling and happy at your fall. So you wonder how can somebody be so indifferent, so callous. So that type of person also, or the indifferent nearest. Now this is the most difficult experience for anybody in life. People have heartbreaks when the dearest person that they like or want only is farthest away from them. They are not able to do anything. So these are all emotions which break a person sometimes. But Krishna is talking about equanimity, samatha, samatvam yoga uchyate. We've seen before also. This oneness, whether it is this person also, whether it is the person who is creating divide, or a person who is indifferent, or it's a person who is very close and yet that person doesn't feel you're close, that person is close to you. That's a very difficult experience. You cannot force another person to feel for you. So this aspect, whether it is whatever it is, that balance, that oneness, you should be able to see is what Krishna says. Many times when people go through breakups and relationship failures, they get broken completely because the other person does not like them at all, and they want that to happen. It is not happening, and then that carries over their head for so many years, so that they have to come to terms with it. They have to come to peace with it. That is the only way they can move ahead. So this is the way. Then the holy sinner, the holy saint, or the wretched sinner. So the great sadhu or the worst of the sinners also. Even them, if you are able to see oneness, Krishna is saying, he who as one perceives is the ultimate progressor. That person who can see samatha in all of these friends and enemies, near and far, people who are well wishers, people who are not your well wishers, whether it is a sadhu or whether it is a kind of a great bhogi or some kind of opposite of a sadhu. The person who can see oneness, that person is the greatest progressor. The next sloka. Yogi yunjita satata satatamatmanam रहसि योगी योगी युञ्जीत सततम् आत्मानं रहसि स्थितः एकाकी यतचित्तात्मा निराशीर परिग्रहः. The yogi should seclude and devote himself. We will probably stop at this shloka. Krishna is talking about need for dhyana, what needs to be done, how dhyana needs to be done. That all can be described probably in the next session. We will look at it. The yogi should seclude and devote himself on immersing and becoming one with the Supreme Self. In his solitude, with mind and body in his control, free of desire, he should meditate on the soul. So, Krishna is again talking about dhyana. Once more, Krishna is talking about dhyana. That yogi should seclude and devote. Means there should be some person should take time out. If you are doing yoga sadhana, you must learn to withdraw yourself from the flux of outer activity on immersing and becoming one with the Supreme Self. Why should you do dhyana? For becoming one with the divine. There is the divine inside. From second Adhyay, Krishna has been hammering this concept. Inside of us, there is this divine. But only we are not having time for that divine. So we should take that time out, is what Krishna is saying. In this solitude, with mind and body in control, the Sharira and the Mana both have to be in control. Free of desire, one should meditate on the soul. One should try and meditate on this divine entity inside. So again, Krishna is talking about dhyana. A second technique will be taught for this adhyaya. We will see one more, and then we will see Arjuna's description also of what he has understood, which will be interesting. Probably tomorrow we will look at the rating of Arjuna when we see Krishna complete his sermon on dhyana. But importance of dhyana is specified. Now it is very interesting to note that Arjuna was almost like a yogi himself. Archery cannot happen without somebody who has got great control over mind. Nobody can become an archer just like that. He must have already done great dhyana. Yet Krishna is speaking about it because somewhere Arjuna is missing out something. Maybe he has done great dhyana in his dhyana sessions, but not right now. He is not carrying it with him. He is not able to do that. Sri Aurobindo had talked about dynamic meditation. He was in a state of meditation even while walking, while doing, he would walk for several hours also in a day in a part of his sadhana. Even that would be dhyana only continuously. People can practice dhyana while doing action also. That's a full conscious awakening where karma is also taking place. That's a different type of meditation. So Krishna has now specified, if we have, that is an important aspect. Why is it important? How is it directly connected to Arjuna's yuddha? We do not know it yet. We will see. Maybe after the session today, you can just guess how meditation might help Arjuna in his yuddha. That is something which we can look at it after the Shanti Mantra. But that is the truth. A small, short story. If you see, there was one great yogi. He would meditate so well. He was a shishya of a good guru, and he would do very good meditation. But the problem was, he was a great yogi in his meditation session. After his meditation, he would have a very different personality. So while meditation, he is like Sri Rama. After meditation, he's become like Ravana. It was like that. He had this tendency of getting angry, everything. He was like, I'm a perfectionist, I like this, I don't like this. He would go on blasting other shishyas also. Because of his seniority, he was making wrong use of that. One day, the Guru thought, I need to correct this. So the best way he found out was when he was meditating, he purposely went and disturbed his meditation session. Now this person got disturbed and he started hurling abuses. But the moment he opened his eyes, he saw who was standing in front of him and whom he was hurling the abuse at. He immediately covered his mouth, ashamed. And that time the Guru says that the real meditations is going to be carried after your session. How you are, that is the point. Yes, you are experiencing great things while you are closing your eyes. But how are you carrying yourself afterwards? Where is that? Is it the Atman who is the Bandhu, or is it the Atma who is the Ripu who is working at that time? So this dhyana is something which has been specified. The second technique will be shared. Second technique is excellent for making zero thoughts. Krishna has talked about na kinchit api chintayet. Well, thoughtlessness comes very easily with the second technique. First technique may allow thoughts to come and go, but the second one is completely different. Let us see what Krishna says. With this, we will conclude with the Shanti Mantra, after which we can just see if how dhyana is helpful or not helpful for Arjuna. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. हरि ओम तत्सत. कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. हरि ओम. Yes, please. Hari Om. Yes, about dhyana, how is it connected with Arjuna? Anybody feels it is irrelevant or it's unnecessary, or if it is necessary, how is it necessary? Yes, please. Om Shanti Shanti. Yeah. Yes, please. Dhyana's advantage, or is there a disadvantage of it if it is? Yes, please.
Are you asking from the future perspective what's going
No,
to happen, or are you
as
asking
of
from
now, what do you think? Is it required? Krishna is giving pravachan for dhyana right in the middle of Kurukshetra. Is it useful for, what is the use? What do you think would be the reason, Deepti ji?
Uh,
Okay, Savitri ji. Yes, please.
it gives the power of concentration.
Okay. And you think it would help Arjuna in his yuddha also?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
it will
it's
help.
more about clarity of mind, like taking the right decisions.
Okay,
So that the way Arjuna was stuck in the dilemma of relationships and good and bad,
okay,
so it gives him the clarity of mind because you're awakening your conscious. Like Arjuna, of course, is a conscious person, but right now because his mind is hazy due to
okay.
all the things which is going
Emotions and
on,
other disturbances of
emotions
outside.
and disturbance, and yeah, and few desires here and there. So it gives him a clarity of thought.
So probably he need not, he should cultivate that samatha, is it not? Even if he is facing Duryodhana, he should not feel hatred for Duryodhana and suddenly have a high blood pressure or adrenaline pumping inside of him. This person did like this. Instead, his focus should be on releasing the arrow to pierce his heart, but with samatha. Is it not?
Yes,
Ji,
true.
all right.
He sometimes is strict with a
Krishna,
kid like
Ji,
that.
yes.
Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna
Ji,
that with concentration and dhyana, with you will be able to face the situation in the right perspective.
ji, ji, ji.
Because the situation, the, you have to first consider what is the situation at present before you,
Yes, yes.
and you are running away from the situation.
Ji, ji,
So
ji.
that is not the way a warrior should do or any person should.
Ji, ji, ji.
The situation, you have to face the situation, and for that you need to analyze the things, and for that the dhyana is very important.
Ji, 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 ji. So analysis, it is important because Arjuna was, as I think Srivasti also said, is now in the grip of the situation, or as Dipti shared, his mind was hazy. He was worried about what? He was worried about Varna Sankara. He was worried about what society will think. He was worried about what's going to happen by these actions. All these problems were creating such a complex situation inside of this master archer that he has fallen. He is like somebody who is always known to be quiet and peaceful, and look at him now. He has now become a storehouse of emotions. He has gone on to accuse Krishna also of being greedy for wealth. You don't understand, Krishna, were you greedy for this? That is why we are doing all of it. And what will happen? All these fears, anxieties, they spoil everything because of, we see Krishna's advice is not being followed by Arjuna. He is not. He's mana apamana. He's worried about that. He's worried about his own mana or whether his apman will take place. He says, I have to retain glory. Now, Arjuna's personal glory matters 1% or even 0% in this great Mahabharata. There are lives at stake. But he is forgotten because his own individual aspects have come to the front. Maybe Dhyana will help him, probably, Krishna thinks. And it's interesting, Krishna is telling right in the middle of a battlefield. Quick recap of Dhyana. So many techniques Arjuna might have been aware. He was Gudakesh. He had, with his sadhana, conquered the need to even go to sleep. Probably he wanted to be always alert, always in sadhana, that even while sleeping, he did not want to waste that time. For that person also, Krishna is again reteaching this technique. First technique is that the way of the yogis who were liberated. So Arjuna needs to be liberated and then enter into action, because again this adhyaya began with, without karma nothing can happen. The yogi cannot rise, and the yogi has risen also because of the karmas of the yogi only. So Arjuna, you cannot escape from karma. It is clear, but let us see. Yes, please. Anybody wishes to add? You are most welcome, or we can conclude our session today after that. Yes, please.
Uh,
Hari Om ji.
Krishna wanted Arjuna to focus on the job at hand.
Ji, ji.
So that is why he asked him to focus on what he's supposed to do on the battlefield. That is, fight the Kauravas,
Ji,
and
ji,
not
ji.
get distracted by these emotions.
Yes, yes, yes. Dr. Atulji, but Arjuna, is he focused on that? Or he is still now wondering what is Shreya? Yat
He
Shreya.
wasn't.
He's
So
not.
he wasn't focused. That is why Krishna was advising him
Yes,
or
yes.
telling him to focus on what he's supposed to
So,
do.
yes, Dr. Atulji. So right now, probably Arjun is still not sure of his duty. He's busy still analyzing. He wants to know what is profitable, what is yat shreyaha. Tell me clearly what is right. He's not recognizing his duty yet because when he recognizes duty, he does not need anything else. Everything would
Yes,
become crystal clear. Karishya Vachanam Tava comes out afterwards from his mouth. The same one is
yes,
asking, what should I do? He says, no, I know what I want to do then. Probably Dhyana helps us get that clarity. Yes, Dr.
yes,
Atulji. So probably our duty is most important, which we need to recognize the duty of the moment. And the best way we can recognize is by aligning our consciousness with the divine consciousness. And there is no better way than meditation to get into that state. So many times important decisions we have to take. We need to just let our emotions get under our control and allow the divine will to function by acting only when required, what is required and how much is required, how much intervention. That Vivek Buddhi is also awakened by Dhyana. But let us see, let us just try, let us practice because we still have time. We are in the fifth Adhyay. Today's technique, it is Krishna's technique of Dhyana. If we can just try maybe 1 week or something, or we can try at our homes also. Maybe for this is not for 2 minutes. Why I had once done it for 2 minutes. After that, one particular group they called it 2 minute meditation. And they're happy with 2 minutes only, and they call it 2 minute meditation. And they said we need to do 2 minute meditation every day. And but some people did it for half an hour, and even the person doing for 2 minutes with regularity did experience after 10, 11 days. He said I was not having my anger issues. That 2 minutes are sufficient. Also, probably it is the intensity with which it is done as well. But Krishna has not talked about time, so that's in our hand. But let us start. Let us start. If we have not done it before, we should definitely have a look at it. Worth exploring, of course. Ji. Yes, sir. Yes, Ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Ji. Hari Om. Ji. Hari Om. Ji. Hari Om. Hari Om. Ji. Hari Om. Hari Om. Ji. Hari Om. Hari Om. Ji. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om Ji. Hari Om Ji. Hare Krishna. Hari Om. Hari Om.